Well, you ever catch yourself laughing at something you shouldn't? Sometimes humor, I mean, it can really come from a dark place sometimes.
And that's the idea behind the Addicts Comedy Tour, which brings Mark Lundholm back to town.
Yeah, he's the funny bone tonight and tomorrow night, and back on the Blend couch today. Mark, good to see you.
Thank you very much. I've been on people's couches for a long time.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while since you've been on this couch. I think it was a couple years ago.
Couple years, and I had a really nice visit. You guys sold us a lot of tickets. I'm not one of those guys who sells tickets just by putting my name out there. You know, I got to do the radio and the TV and the press and stuff. I still like that. I still like getting my hands dirty.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, it's
present company excluded.
Yeah, we were talking about this. Sometimes comedy comes from a dark place, but you really, I mean, you've been to some dark places in your past that kind of led you down this path, right? I remember talking to you.
You met my family?
No, I haven't met your family, but
okay.
But you did some time, right?
Yeah.
You're a recovering addict. You've been sober though for what, 28 years.
Yeah.
Give us your story.
That only means that I've run out of excuses to get arrested.
Right.
That's all it means. You know?
There's no more excuses now.
No, I don't. I've run out of excuses to misbehave in public.
Yeah.
That's I'm 57 years old.
Yeah.
And at 28 years sober and 57, there's not too many excuses where I can misbehave or act out.
Sure.
I've run out of room.
Can you take us back though? What was going on in your life? You know, 30 years ago.
You were thanks for asking that about the dark thing. But the dark's a relative term. You know what I mean? Growing up in a house where people said one thing and did another, nobody's fault. I'm not blaming anybody. But there's a misinformation system in dysfunctional families that says if you don't look at it, it's not really there. If you don't talk about it, it'll just go away. The behavior that we do is because we love you. There's a lot of crazy, you know. I'm not a clinician. You know, I do a lot of clinical groups. Like I'll be at this place today for probation department working with inmates, right?
And you do that all across the country.
Everywhere. It's a passion of mine. Yeah. And I don't say this a lot, but I get to work with a lot of people who are injured like I was. And I'll always tell them, listen, you're going to do what you do until it stops working, then you're going to do it a little while more. So in the families that we have, some of us were instructed poorly because the instructions were wrong. But we keep telling the same story, expecting something else to happen. So I get to break the chain a little bit, you know, with my kid. I got a 9-year-old boy. I got 3 kids from 3 different women. There's dysfunction in my history. So going back, I just thought I'm smarter than the system. Criminality is a flexible relative term, right? I mean, I'm a comedian by trade, but if you want to know the truth, what I could write on the tax return, I'm a guy with a mental illness who's learned how to market that as a skill so I can pay a lot of child support. That's that's what I.
But you have turned it into a career.
Well, it seems to have shifted that direction, but I started out in jails and rehabs and shelters and prisons, a place I used to live, just volunteering. And the career was almost accidental. I know there's no accidents, but it's just something I liked to do. And if you love what you do, I know you two are in this camp. You love what you do, it's not work. You know?
Absolutely.
It's a passion and a pursuit and a path. A career, that's a good label, but there's no path for what I do. So it's a little bit lonely at times, and it's hard because you're cutting a new path through the jungle. Nobody did it before. You know, tell somebody you're going to go do a prison tour. They go, what's that mean? Exactly.
Yeah, right. They don't know.
So, no, they don't know, and I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Was I yelling there?
No, you didn't. That wasn't too bad.
Sorry, I get like that.
You've been homeless. You've been in jail. You've been in rehab. People may think, oh, what am I going to see when I see this guy at the comedy club? Am I allowed to drink when I see the show?
Well,
you know?
Yeah. And that was all by choice, by the way. Yeah, that seemed like a good idea. You know, homeless, you don't have to mow any lawns. But the show tonight is very light. It's very light, and it's normal stuff. It's raising kids. It's relationships that are awkward or bountiful. You know, it's jobs. It's stuff. It's mainstream stuff. This is what we call normie-friendly tonight. Normie-friendly. Normie, if you don't know what that means, you are one. Okay, it means not addicted to something that's not working. But the show tonight, it's lighthearted. It's funny. I got a bunch of new stuff. If you've seen me before, you haven't seen this show. Yeah. I write constantly, consistently stuff. I got a 9-year-old boy who's just a fountain.
I was going to say because
stuff.
Well, that brings me to my next question. You had a different childhood than your son, your 9-year-old does. So how do you
Yeah, that's a nice way to say it for TV.
A little different.
Thanks.
But
man.
how do you raise your kids, given your past?
You know what? I have a large support group of men that are fathers. You know, manhood, brotherhood, fatherhood. The 3 hoods we want to live in have already paid rent to get into, but don't show up to occupy that space. That's our work. So I got a lot of guys who are really good dads. And forgiving my father prevented me from becoming my father.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm not the dad I had. Grayson's not the kid I was. So and I'll ask him once in a while, hey, how we doing? Is there anything I need to do more of or less of? He goes, Dad, sometimes your words are nice, but your face is still mean. Okay, I got to work on my face. I've been working on my face since I was a kid. All right, good luck with that. But there's information there. You know, we can garner stuff from the kids.
Yeah.
I think the misnomer is that I'm a parent raising him. There's some truth to that, I guess, if you're normal. If you're dysfunctional or struggling at all. How about if you looked at it like this? How about if I'm a parent teaching my kid?
Yeah.
What if he's a kid teaching his parent? Just a little bit, not giving him all the power. But there's an education system there where it's reciprocal. He teaches me about him. It's like a relationship. You're married, you better ask your partner what they want. So occasionally I'll check in with him. How am I doing? He goes, Dad, you get a little snappy sometimes when you don't eat. Well, thanks for that.
Angry,
all right.
don't we
yeah.
all?
Yeah, and he's not wrong.
Yeah. Well, you're part of a tag team on this. Curtis Matthews is with you tonight.
Curtis Matthews, yeah, he couldn't be. He's in jail right now. But, no, he's here. He's here. But the show is really good. It's two different versions of an addictive kind of re-entering society thing. The show's safe. It's PG-35. That's what I call it, which just means if you're 35 years or younger, there's phrases you don't understand.
You don't get it, right?
Yeah, you don't remember Lincoln Logs.
We're in that camp.
Are you really?
Oh, yeah.
What's that,
28,
We're
29?
both 40 plus.
Oh yeah, we're
Oh, no,
not
I
in
was
that
going to
category.
say.
Yeah, we're
I was
above,
going to say, holy cow.
So we understand some of these jokes.
What is alcohol preservative in your family? What happened? Yeah, no, I know you get it. Are we winding up here?
Absolutely, yeah.
You
We
got
gotta
that
go.
look. I can't count the times I've seen that from somebody.
When they do this.
Oh,
They're yelling at us.
she used to do that a lot. She'd say, too many words, Mark. Can we just get to it?
Tonight, tomorrow, he's the Funny Bone, funnyboneomaha.com. Mark, it's good to see you, buddy.
Listen, thank you
Good
for
to see you
having
doing
me
so
back.
well, yeah.
Thank
Bless
you,
you
Mark.
guys.
Custom Home.